Hey, it's me, Eva. Welcome back to my channel and Happy New Year. Today I'm going to show you how I redesigned this mix and match dresser and nightstand pair into the perfect bedroom trio. Let's get started. I found this dresser at Habitat, and don't ask me why I have the zip ties on there. I should have took them off, but anyways, it had this little compartment on top, and I knew immediately that I loved the dresser, but that compartment had to go because it was an eyesore. And to go along with the dresser, I had this nightstand pair in my garage. And this request was actually from my sister-in-law. So this is for her, and she wanted these nightstands. So even though they didn't match with the dresser, I decided to put them together, and you'll see how it turns out at the end. Now you see me pointing a lot to the top of this dresser, and it's just to show you that it was like a MDF that was falling apart. So I had to patch all of that once I started. And this has been my wood filler of choice, and that's what I use to start the patch to the top of the nightstands. Now my husband likes to say that I get a little heavy-handed with the wood filler, and he may be right, but I just like to make sure that everything is filled in, and so with this chaos here, I got the job done, and that's all that matters. And somewhere in these videos, I either didn't record or I lost the recording for sanding this, but sorry, that's just how it goes. Sometimes you get to working and you forget about recording. Sorry y'all, I am still getting the hang of this. If you watched the other two videos, you'll know this primer very well. And like the dresser I made over in the first part of this series, because this is not real wood, I wanted to be sure to prime it because I wanted to be sure that it was sealed and I didn't have to worry about the paint coming off or any of that other stuff. So taking a break for the nightstands for a second, here I am starting to take the zip ties off this dresser. Finally, it sat like this for a little bit. I don't know why I left those things on, but whatever. And behind those doors, I felt like Deal or No Deal, just trying to see what these drawers look like, and I love it. I'm always a fan of the hidden door drawers. After taking the doors off, it was time to take the, whatever this compartment is, off. So I had to unscrew it from the top and the bottom. So I used this baby screwdriver to get that screw out, and it lifted off. All it took was a little hard work, and we got it off. And even though I felt like that would have been a perfect place to keep jewelry, it was just visually annoying. So once I took that off, this is the mark that it left behind, and it was time to start to get sanding. You may not be able to see it, but there were knots in this. I don't know if it was wood or like plywood. I think it was a combination of both, but I had to use this 80 grit, which was a harder sandpaper, to get those knots down. After the knots were down, there was some, and actually I remember it was plywood exposed, and it just kind of changed the texture of the top of the dresser. So I went ahead and put some wood filler on there just to smooth it down, and then I lightly sanded it with 220 grit, and then it gave it like a more even surface to paint on. Now here's one of those moments that us YouTubers try to hide. So while we were moving the nightstand, my husband actually broke the leg of the nightstand. And to be honest, when you buy used furniture, this is just something that happens. But because he broke it, he had to fix it. I would have probably made him fix it anyway, but I wanted to record the process because this may happen to somebody. And honestly, all we did was put another hole there in the nightstand for the screw, use some wood glue to glue the leg back on, and then went ahead and put a screw in there. with any of my videos, I'm not a professional, so if this is not the by the book way to do it, sorry, but this is what works for us. And that one screw wasn't enough, so where that arrow is where we had to put another screw in the opposite direction, making sure that they didn't cross each other. And here's a tip. So when I took out my drawers for the dresser and the nightstands, I didn't measure where the original handles were in distance from each other. I just went ahead and ordered new hardware. Well, the issue is that the hardware I ordered was longer than the original holes, and it didn't fit either the dresser or the nightstands. So I had to drill all new holes for all of the drawers, which it was 11. It sucked, don't do it. Make sure you measure the distance first and try to match the distance of the original hardware. And if you can't, then you order a different size. And after I did this same measuring process on 11 drawers, even getting it wrong twice, I used this template to help me stay centered as I drilled the new holes. I would give you a how-to on how to make this cardboard template, but I did it wrong, so I won't. And again, I use this shellac to cover the spots that I filled just to seal them and help the paint to be applied evenly. My paint of choice being the Bare and Flat Black. Listen, y'all, this bucket of paint got a workout with all three projects. And I realized I never actually show my paint sprayer, and I use this Yetic sprayer from Amazon. I'll link it below. When it comes to paint spraying, I've learned that slow and steady wins the race. When I first started, I was always trying to get like this full coverage on the first go round, and I learned that it's okay to do multiple coats. Take your time. You do that, you'll have less drips and runs. And I don't think I had maybe one on this entire project. And as you watch, just keep in mind that I did speed this up, because if not, you would have been here for like 10 years. So yeah, keep that in mind. So when you're dealing with the inside of a nightstand, I recommend using a foam roller like I did here, because even with the paint sprayer, you probably use so much paint trying to spray inside, it's easier to just roll it and be done. Here I'm sealing the nightstands with my Minwax polyacrylic and matte. This is how it looks sealed up. And throughout this entire project, I was just trying to figure out how can I make this dresser pop, and I figured it out. I wanted to paint the middle drawers gold. So because it was going to a couple, it was just enough where I could add a pop of color, but when it wasn't being used, it would be hidden, so it wasn't like this gold fancy dresser. And I loved it. And in typical YouTube fashion, let's go with a before. And the after. And you know, excuse my garage, it's a small space and I'm still trying to figure out how to make this thing pretty. But the dresser and the nightstands, they stand out on their own. you ready for the ooh la la? Ooh la la. And I honestly feel like it just flows so perfectly. It's not too feminine, it's not too masculine, quote unquote. It's just perfectly in the middle. If you love this video and want to see more like it, subscribe, like, and show me some love in the comments. I have something very special coming soon.